So it has been a couple months since my last video, and I know that after that one, I had said that I would be giving another update like right away. But there have been some changes. So I went back to medical school after a year of, well, not even a year actually. It had been a year from my brain surgery, but then it had just been a few months since I stopped my high dose chemotherapy of Temidor. So it's taken some time, but I finished that April 29th and I went back to school August 5th. I went back to Lincoln Memorial University, DeBuss College of Osteopathic Medicine, to kind of restart second year and to see if I even could. I had done occupational therapy and, I did a lot of tests and I did practice, but I would not have known if I was ready to return to medical school unless I went. And so I went, had the first exam after 2 weeks. Now, something that could be maybe positive is that it was an exam on things that I technically already learned. And actually, one of the topics was neurology, like neuroscience, clinical neuroscience. And it's like, with brain cancer, you have so much neuroscience, neurological symptoms going on. It's like, yeah, this is right where I need to be. This is where I can learn more about what's going on. I was even there for the lecture of anti-seizure medications, which at the moment I'm still on two different preservative or preventative medications for this because there's still some of Olga in place. Now, I ended up leaving. I withdrew after that first test. So I was there 3 weeks. After I sat down, I tried my best as I could right now. But one of the things about those preventative anti-seizure medications is that they're a little bit sedative, and before we found the tumor, I had been on Concerta and also another time Ritalin because I had been diagnosed with ADD, and we're still pretty sure that I don't technically have the neurotransmitter difference that causes actual ADD, but because of Olga's location, and that's why I actually responded quite well to the medication. Sorry for the clock in the background. But because of their risk of seizure, I can't take any of those. And so I'm on antibiotics, I'm on anti-seizure medications, and I would take such high doses. I was still taking very high doses at the end of the summer. And they're very distracting, very sedative. It was hard to stay focused. And I'm glad that I know that it's not time for me to be a medical doctor. And so I moved back to St. Louis. I was in East Tennessee and I felt great. Actually, I was really happy to be there, to be back in town where everything started for me. And now I'm back home because this is where my cancer center is. I'm a patient of Simon Cancer Center, and actually, since I've gotten back, I have had additional MRIs. I had my MRI in October, and it's showing even more improvement. I have swelling that's still decreasing, so I really am still healing and responding to the high doses of chemotherapy, even though it's been, oh goodness, over 6 months now. I'm still having a good effect. And their marketing for the Cancer Center they're working on creating a video called We Are One for their 20th anniversary. And I was actually invited to be a part of this video. I was so excited. It was completely scripted. And it was so funny because I went back to school to try an exam, to try to be in the setting where we see how I do. And I had to be looking right at the camera, and read the lines. And it came down to one of their team members to actually read not an entire sentence, but a phrase at a time, and then I would repeat it. And so I'm sure it's got lots of editing to do to just like cut out what I actually can say. Because it was hard for me. I was like, my short-term memory is still struggling, and so for me to read it and then to be able to look at it, it was kind of hard. But I look forward to seeing that. They said that of the different cancer patients that they're around, that I'm really positive, and that's one of my goals. It's to stay positive, because yeah, becoming a medical physician myself, it's still a goal. It's still something that I would love to do at some point in my life, but it's not time right now. And so, in addition to doing my own cancer centers, and, oh, my doggy just snored. But in addition to doing their video, I also officially started volunteering. Now, I used to be a Siteman Cancer Center volunteer 6-7 years ago, and when I was a pre-med student. And it's funny because the volunteer coordinator has changed many times since I was originally there, and they are working with every different location of Siteman. And it used to be that we only had the one main Siteman Cancer Center location, and so that's where I went. And that is still the only one that I'm aware of, at least, that actually sees brain cancer patients, because it's still pretty rare. So even if one location is closer, all of my treatment, all of my follow-ups are in the Central West End. And so that is where I got to officially volunteer again at Siteman Cancer Center. And I can't use any other word other than amazing. The ability to get to go back and be a volunteer, not because I was pre-med and trying to get more clinical experience, but to be a patient, to be someone who understands what's going on, to understand the treatments, and even talking to family members. I was sitting at the information desk, I was helping with directions, I answered the phone a few times, and there were a couple of moments where I was talking to people and just being as positive as I can. And, at one point I was talking to a patient with another form of cancer, but she just started radiation. I believe today is probably day 3 or day 4 for her. But we were talking about hair, and I had my hair braided. It was back and braided. But she said, I'm worried about hair loss. And I said, oh yeah. And so I pulled my hair back, and I said, I was completely bald on this side. Look at it, already growing back. It's got some Shirley Temple curls in line. But, just because you lose it once doesn't mean it's gone forever. And so we were talking about biotin. I love my gummies of hair, skin, and nails. Like, I have them every single day, and they keep my hair long and healthy. My nails are on track. And so I just got to take a moment to talk to her about that. She had come over asking for information of some of the different services provided for the cancer members, the cancer patients. And so she did feel a little bit off, but I kind of switched her feeling to talking about our hair and how it's one of the things that's affected by all of our treatment. I said, it's all right. Don't forget, it always comes back. And to show her my short hair and my long hair together, it got a smile out of her face. And so to be able to share my own experience with other patients, I'm able to encourage them. And there was another patient that I was talking to. I saw him multiple times through the day while I was there. And he's on a clinical trial. And I said, I'm actually not eligible for clinical trials that I'm aware of. And I did actually look into a few, but I wasn't eligible. Even had blood tested for specific things. But I said, you know what, you can do it. I asked him, I said, how often do you have your checkup? He said, well, every 3 weeks I come in and I have this injection, they do my blood, the blood tests, and then I see the doctors at this time. And I said, you know what? 3 weeks? That's awesome. Because at one point I was at 4 weeks, and now I'm at every 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. And then I was like, in January, I get to be at every 3 months. So I'm going up to 12 weeks, because so he goes in for his treatment every 3 weeks, but he doesn't get an MRI until every 12 weeks. And I was like, oh, my MRIs are every 8. So I was like, but after this next one, I get to go up to every 12 weeks. And so it's just building up over time. And I know I've been talking for a little bit, but it's been a while since my last one. And one of the things I kept thinking, oh, I need to update. I should do an update. But I didn't have much to say, and I really was waiting to try and get back into volunteering. I also am volunteering at my church, St. Louis Family Church. One weekend each month, I'm with the babies because they make me happy, because they just smile so much. And then another week, I'm doing the 3-year-olds. And actually this month, I won't be with 3-year-olds. My mom will be taking over that for me, because I am going to be doing the hot chocolate run. So I have, I believe, about 3 weeks until then. I'm actually doing the 15K. And I was doing pretty good. I started jogging again, but I happened to slip in some mud, which is something anybody can do. Any normal person can have that happen. But of course, my left knee did have a scab, but it went away so fast. My right knee, so that was my left knee. My right knee, because Olga's on my left, there's still an effect on what happens to my left, or my right side from my left brain. My right side is affected. And I sort of semi-sprained my knee, which I don't even know if I've ever heard of it before, but I will be walking. I can still do the distance, and it took me some time because I was in denial about it, but I've been taking some ibuprofen, and it's been helping. And so I'm just staying active and still trying to increase the speed that I'm reading. And so I'm rereading actually fiction, fantasy fiction stories. I'm a big Harry Potter person, so a lot of them are kind of in that type of story, but I'm reading books that I read a while ago. And so it's knowing what eventually happens, I'm able to speed up my reading with these, and then also working on bringing in my medical knowledge. I still have my flashcards. I have use of my board prep activities like the movies and practice questions. I don't do them the same way I would if I stayed in school at that speed, but I'm getting there. And so it's just, I go back to school, and I'm trying to work as hard as I can, and I wasn't ready for it. So I took a few steps back, but I still am so glad that I get to volunteer. One of the other things that I want to step into sooner rather than later is to be a part of research in the neuroscience field, especially if I can find something that I'm eligible for to help out with anything related to brain tumors, because we still don't have a cure. I'm not in remission, I'm in steady state, and so I would love to help find us the right medicine, the right treatments for anyone that's found in the same condition that I'm in, who kind of has to slow down everything. I would love to help get people back on track, at a good, positive rate. So that's kind of where I'm at. And again, I'm so sorry that this was so long. I hope that if you went on it on your computer and watched it double speed to save some time. If not, thank you for taking the time to actually listen and see what's going on. And, I'd love to hear from anyone. I still appreciate any positive thoughts and prayers that can be sent my way. And, if you could even take a moment, I would love to be in your positive thoughts each day. And if you could also include those with brain tumors in general, I would really appreciate it. Oh, and here's Luna to say goodbye with me. Hi, Luna. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful day. And there she is. That you also have a friend, a family member, a dog who is always your best friend, who always makes you happier and gets you through each day, whether you've got some type of disease, disorder, cancer, maybe even just a rough day at work, anything. I hope that you have something positive that helps you get through each day, because I really was feeling down the other day, so I took Luna here for a walk and I felt 10 times better afterwards. I'm finding things to keep me busy as everything slowly returns back to where it was. And again, I just appreciate your time. As for now, me and Luna say goodbye. I hope, again, you have a great day. Thank you for your time.